So welcome back. In this video, we're going to be looking into the optimization of traffic lights, introducing the custom car type, and also the optimization experience. In the previous video, we were able to look at how we can introduce or import the satellite map or layout or image into the window, and also how to draw a road network. And after drawing a road network, we're also able to configure the connections at the point of intersection, and we were also able to introduce the flowchart logic. Here we have the flowchart logic. Then after that, we also able to introduce our traffic lights into the layer. So the next step we're going to be looking at is the optimization of the traffic light. But first, we are going to be introducing our custom car type in the layout. To introduce our custom car type, we can have our palette here, so we can introduce our car type from here, or we can also introduce it from our car source. So you can click on the car source, go under the properties. So here we have the create a custom type, so we can click on create a custom type. Then the name of the agent type name is car, so we leave it as the create the agent type from scratch. Then we click on next. So we have the car. Yes, we move next. Then the parameters, we are going to be adding a new parameters, and here we want to know that from the start time, can have the start time. Then the default value has to be the time. Then we have this. So after having this, then we can click on finish. So here we have the car agents and the start time, showing the start time the vehicle comes into the model. So okay, there is another thing so under the project, when we started this project, we at the beginning of the project, the name is to intersection, yes, and the model time unit was set for minutes. But in some of the things we might be doing at this point, there will be a need for us to have it in seconds. But because I didn't set it as seconds in the beginning, you can just do that here and change to seconds. That will come in handy later in the later part of the video. So I just want to be sure that it's effective. Yeah, seconds. Okay. So the next we are going to be creating is the agent, the agent. So here is the agent. I click on it. Then this is the agent. You can drag it here. So we have the choose what you want to create. The first is going to be the population of agents. Click on this. Since we've been able to create a car type already, then we say I want to use an existing agent type. The next, so we have the cars. Yes, so next. Then the start time, just like we said initially. Next. Then we have create initial empty population. Then finish. So we here it is, the car agent. So afterwards we are going under the car source, each of the car source. Then, so the first one, we have the car source from the west here. So here we already have it as the car, which is the particular one with. But beyond that, we have the custom population. So we click on the custom population. So we have the car population here. So then we assign it to the cars, the one we created. So we do that for all the car sources. So with this, we move to the next one. So we change to car. Custom population. Then the next one. Then for the last one, we also do the same. So we've been able to set that up for all the car sources. The next thing is to introduce our Instagram from the analysis part. So here we have the analysis. Then we have the histogram data. You can drag it here. So can name, time, and model. So time and model. So after that, we are going to click on the car we have here, the second one. After the main, we have the car. We click on it, go under the properties, then we put in the code for the start time. So at this point, we put in the main. That is the main we have. Then the time in model. Then we have add the time, the start time. So the main dot time in model in hard and the time stroke time. So we set this up. So we go back to the main page. So at the main page, we can decide to bring in our histogram here. What we had before was the histogram data, but now we have the histogram itself. You can just drag it in, then edit the properties, modify the properties. So we can edit the title here. Can time and model, then the this time and model. Since we want the histogram to show the mean, you can click on the mean here. So we can set the main color. What color do we want the main to be? So probably we can set it for blue, black, whatever color it is. So let's set it for let's set it as so we have that as time and model. So at this point, the width we can just increase this to 3 just to make it a bit more thicker. So this is what we have. Then we close. So this is it. And we're able to set it up, the colors and the breakdown here. So at this point, we can decide to run the model to see the simulation and see how it's to see the behavior. So here we have the simulation. But if I drag it a bit down here, you can see the agent cars here. We have the timing model, the histogram data, and here we have the histogram itself. Now, if I run the model for a reasonable time, it will be able to show the mean duration time the car spent in the model. And this average value is a good performance indicator or a good performance measure indicator for the traffic signal control. So as we can see here, we have, so I'm just waiting to run it for a little while. Here we have about 26 cars in the simulation. So I'm just trying to wait a bit to run it for a while. Then when I click on this timing model, it will be able to show the average mean and also the minimum and the maximum time the car spent in the model. So when I decide to click on this, you can see at this point we have 16 counts so far, 16 counts, or we have the mean of 26. You can see it keeps changing. It keeps changing because we still have vehicles or we have cars coming into the model and in the simulation, so it keeps changing over time. So we can run this for a little while to know, but because we don't have a specific value, that is why it keeps changing. So maybe probably we run it for a certain duration or a certain period. But as it is, the idea behind this is just that it is just the mean helps us to have this performance measure indicator of it. So yeah, so here we have it. And if I decide to also click on the cars, it says you can see here we have 31 agents of vehicles in the model. So here we have from each of the different sources coming into the simulation. So you can close this and close this. So that is the idea. The idea here is to be able to get the mean. So now that we have a possible average mean, we can say it a mean of 31.71. So that means an average of 31 seconds. This is now 32, so it keeps changing. So before we start building the optimization experiments, I think it's important we change the simulation time. So in order to do that, under this we have the simulation domain. You can click on it, and after doing that, we go under the properties of the simulation main, and here we have the start time. We have the start time, and we have the ending time here. So we need to be able to. So under the stop, we change it to stop at a specific time. You know, let's leave it for date. Stop at a specific date. So at this point, you can say the date here and also this. So I can decide to just change this to 08. So then if it is start from 000, so let's just run this for 10 minutes. So at this point, you've been able to set the model time to 10 minutes. Yeah, the model time is 10 minutes. You can have a higher time in order to have more iterations within the model or when we're running the simulation. But for this, we're setting it for just 10 minutes. So the stop at specific date, these are the two changes we made. The stop at specific date, and at that point we added the number of time here, change time settings here, and we had the minutes we want, so 10 minutes. So after when that is done, close this. So after doing that, we can decide to run the model again. But this time around, we know there is a specific time to it. We're running that for 10 minutes because we already set the time. So by doing that, we'll now see the result we'll have after the 10 minutes. We'll be able to ascertain the average, the mean of the vehicles within the simulation, the duration of seconds, seconds, the time. Minutes, you can see the simulation will give us a notification that it has ended, and we'll be able to ascertain the actual average or the mean after the 10 minutes. See, it is finished. So that means we have been able to run this simulation for 10 minutes. And from what we can see here, with our current setup of traffic lights, the average time in the model we click on this to be able to check the average time in the model. So the average time in the model here, we have about 45 seconds. I mean, note that we have 45 seconds, the mean. Then the minimum is about 14 seconds. And then the maximum, we have about 112 seconds, which is over a minute. So this is with the current traffic light setup we have. But now with this, let's see if we can reduce this number by optimizing the traffic light faces. We have the traffic light faces we set up in the road network. So what we want to do now is we want to see, is there a way whereby we can reduce this time, maybe bring it down. If the average time we have, if the average time a vehicle spend in the model is about 45 seconds, is there any way we can reduce this mean or this average? So let's see how we can do that. Let's see if we'll be able to reduce that. So at this point, we will go back to our agent, then introduce the parameters. The parameters are just like a stand for each and every point of the traffic light that we have been able to create when we were setting up the when we're optimizing our traffic light. So at this point, when we introduce our parameters, this is the first one. So we can decide to edit the properties. So this, I can just name this parameter 1. And what is the default value? We can set the default value for 30 seconds. Let's just set the default value for 30 seconds for each of the four parameters. We're going to be setting up four parameters, but why are we actually setting up four parameters? We're setting up four parameters because we have 4 points at the traffic light stand. I'm going to show that when we get to that point, but I'm only just explaining just to know the reason why we might be setting up more than one parameter. Like this is the first parameter, so we change P1, then 30 seconds. We have that sorted. So this is what we have. So what I can do is rather than creating more, I can just copy, then maybe paste. Where I can find it too. Where did it go? I think I might have to undo that. So then three, then one more, four. So now we have four parameters. So I was trying to explain earlier why we have these four parameters. And even if I decide to go in to edit the properties, because I'm only just copying and pasting for the previous one, so it's still going to be the same. P2, then 30, P3, then P4, that way. So we have it all sorted here, all set up here. So these are the four parameters. Now, how do we make use of those parameters? So what are we trying to do? We had a default arrangement of the kind of traffic light and the number of duration within the traffic lights we created at the beginning. So at this point, we want a case where we can now change it based on the parameters that we're having now. Now at this point, we have this is 1 point, this is another. So this is one like a parameter, one parameter two, because we only created two faces. That is the reason why we have two faces. But because we have two traffic lights, that means we are going to be having we have two traffic lights and we have two faces for each of the traffic lights. So that means we are going to be having four faces in total. And that is the reason why we had to create four parameters. Creating those four parameters gives us the opportunity to be able to impute for each face, imputing one of each of the parameters. So at this point, I can just click on this, then pick the first one, the P1. Then for the second one, have this as the P2. Then close, move to the second one. So at this point, you can have the P3, and here is the P4. So with these parameters now, we'll be able to run this model or the simulation for about 10 minutes to be able to give us a different kind of average mean. Let's see, we're going to be looking at this based on this. Will it reduce or will it increase the average mean based on this new parameters that we have been able to set? Another thing I need to explain is at the beginning when we're setting up the project, or probably when you're starting up a new project, there's going to be a question asked whereby after putting the name of the project, the next thing will be changing either from seconds to minutes. We are able to change from the minutes to seconds, in which I did earlier in the video. But when we started the project itself, it was in minutes, but we later changed it to seconds. And the reason why we changed it to seconds is when we're getting our average mean. Now our average mean can be around 45, just like what we saw the other time. It was around 45 seconds. But if we had not changed it from minutes to seconds, or probably we left it as minutes, what we'll be having, it will be in decimal, maybe 0.7, based on, because it's already in, we set it for a minute. So since it's not up to minutes, then it will be in decimal. So I'm only just trying to explain that even if you have yours still as a minute, but the response, or probably the average time, it's going to be in decimal rather than being in what the way we have it in 45 seconds, which represents seconds. But if it is in minutes, you didn't change it from minutes to seconds, then it will be in decimal, still showing that it's still less than a minute. So the next step we are going to be doing, or we'll be taking now, is creating a new experiment. So we click on the project itself, then we have the new, here we have the experiment. So we click on the optimization because we want to optimize the experiment. So click on the optimization, then so we have a new optimization. So this is it. This is the optimization based on the new. So what we're trying to do, the objective at the end of the day is to be able to minimize. I already explained that earlier. Is to be able to minimize the time the vehicles stay in the model, or the seconds, because it's in seconds. So we want to try as much as possible to minimize it. So we can see also under the model time is still the same 10 minutes. We still have it there, but we go under the parameters. So when we click on the parameters, the four parameters we're able to introduce into the traffic light, we have it now. So but this time around, we won't have it fixed. We'll change this to discrete, everything. Now we can just set a minimum value and a maximum value. So I can decide to set the minimum times the seconds is, let's just say the minimum should be 10. Yes. And maybe you can keep the maximum as maybe 35, 35, 35, 35. Maybe with a extra stick of 5, we have 5. So here it is. So this is the parameters. So the things we're able to change here is just the parameters. The model is already set. We've already done that before. And after doing that, the next thing we will be able to do is to create the default UI. So, but before we create the default UI, the first thing we have to do is we have to set the code for our objective here. So that is the root, which is the main itself. Then we have the time in model, which is the histogram object inside the main dot, then the main. So we'll set this up. So I think that should be it. So the number of iterations that we run within the model is 500. So that is fixed. Then the next thing we can do is to create the default UI. So this is what our default UI looks like. So this is what it looks like, the default UI. So we are wholly still running this based on the optimization, because we want to see how we can reduce it. So we are not doing it in the main page. We are optimizing it and running this model with the optimization, with the little changes we've been able to make based on the optimization. So at this point, you can just run the model. So this is the page for the optimization, and in few seconds we'll see the iteration starting. At this point is what we have the iterations completed, and out of those completed, we'll start picking the numbers of the best possible um, iteration from the ones that have been completed. And here we are going to be having the parameters, the ones we were using, have the best fit parameters. And here we also have the chart, this chart that illustrates the optimization process. So we can see the objective is for us to be able to reduce. So that is why we have the arrow. And so far we have about 16 iterations completed, but we only have one best within those 16. So it will keep running different iterations, different possible integrations, in order to be able to see if the mean value can be reduced. And so far we can see the different parameters that introduced in the model. And so far this is what we still have as uh, the best so far. But this has to run for a long time, more integrations than the current one we have, and that is still happening. So we just have to be a little bit patient with that. So when we have this is the current best invisible, then the blue represents the best visible. So you can see 21 now, so we'll leave it for a while to run for the next 10 minutes. Then afterwards we'll be able to copy the best parameters when it comes to the seconds. So now at this point we can see here that finished. So that means we've had a lot of integrations within the last 10 minutes, and from what we can deduce here, this is the best possible parameter. So all we can do is to copy. You can just copy the best. So you say allow, then after copying it, we take it back to the simulation. So now that we've been able to copy that, now under the simulation domain, we only optimized based on the informations we have. So now based on the simulation domain, we can now, from here we can paste from clipboard. So what we copied in the clipboard, we can paste it here. So this will be the new point based on the optimization we did. So with this, we can now run the model, then see if it will actually reduce the mean time or increase or reduce the mean time. But the objective is to be able to reduce the mean time. So let us go ahead and do that. Now having our real simulation here, the actual simulation, and at this point we just have to wait for the model to run for the minutes, the 10 minutes duration we already set, and from here we'll be able to determine at this point if the mean, the average time in the model increased or reduced. So from this process, so at this moment we still need to wait for the next 10 minutes for that to happen, though we can increase the process here, we can speed it up. So just so it's still running, and we can see at this point it's changing, and it's still running at this. So let's just give it few seconds or minutes for that to happen. Then at the end we'll be able to determine if there is any reduction in our average time. So at this point we can see that it is finished, and what we can do here is we can click on the timing model. So the number of counts, we have 531. The mean is now 43.4 compared to 45 point something we had before. And now the average, the minimum is still 14.55, and the maximum is still within the same range, but at least there is a little reduction in the mean. So which means that the new parameters that we set can achieve or can give us a better result than the first initial one we had. So so this is how to optimize the traffic lights, and in the next video we are going to be looking into the introductions of the parking lot into the same satellite map or layout.